Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem.
So much, give yourselves a big round of applause.
Where should I go then?
Go right ahead, Dr. Singh.
Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, this afternoon we come to you as a group of educators asking for grace and mercy. We come to you giving thanks for all our teachers, especially our beginning teachers. Lord, we pray for all stakeholders, every member of the Ministry of Education, especially Minister Williams, our JTC team, every lecturer and the students of Teachers Colleges of Jamaica and other participants. Grant all our teachers and stakeholders an abundance of your wisdom, O God. Prepare our hearts, O God, to love and respect all with whom we make contact. Give us grace as we help our students. Fill us with your peace so that when stress and anxiety come, they would not overwhelm us. Fill us, dear Lord, with your wisdom so we may be able to make the right judgment when guiding and helping others. Fill us, dear Lord, with your strength so we may rise to every challenge and not grow weary. Give us vision to transform education in the digital space, O God. Bless us, Lord, and may we see you as the master teacher as we continue to impact our nation's children through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. At this time, I'll invite Mrs. Solomon to do the welcome for us. Mrs. Solomon is the Senior Director in the Teacher Development Services at the Jamaica Teaching Council. Mrs. Solomon.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Jamaica Teaching Council, led by Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Winsome Gordon, I wish to extend to you a pleasant good evening to everyone attending this event. I would first like to express a special welcome to all the beginning teachers on the platform. While schools have been the center of attention in many regards throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, programs that prepare new educators have not received nearly as much attention. This cohort represents how the system has pivoted in teacher preparation with increased reliance on technology, shifts in operating norms and health protocols, and other pandemic-related challenges and changes. Today's event will showcase and celebrate the journey of becoming that esteemed and noble nation builder called the Jamaican teacher. By supporting new teachers, we support students, their learning, and the sustenance of a robust education system. As testimony to this, I wish to acknowledge the presence of the Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Fable Williams. Minister Williams, we look forward to your keynote address and note that your prioritization of this event within your schedule is reflective of your support to the new teachers and to teacher development. Welcome to the executive team of the Ministry of Education and Youth, the Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Maureen Dwyer, Chief Education Officer, Dr. Kassan Troop, Deputy Chief Education Officers, Assistant Chief Education Officers, Directors of Regional Educational Services, Education Officers, and Chief Executive Officers and Directors from our Ministry of Education and Youth agencies. I would like to greet the presidents and coordinators and lecturers from the teacher training institutions. Together, we have developed an induction program to usher teachers into the Jamaican system prepared, confident, and eager to get started. Welcome. We share this day with you. Welcome to all board chairmen, principals, and teachers. Your impact will be profound on these new teachers, and your presence here today represents the support already to our beginning teachers and the support they will receive when they begin their profession. I welcome my colleagues from the Jamaica Teaching Council, and I would like to acknowledge the leadership of the Council's Chief Mentoring Officer, Mrs. Ingrid Peart-Wilmot. Mrs. Wilmot's vision, passion, and commitment will be evident throughout today's event. She is joined by the main facilitators of the program, our invaluable mentors. Welcome to the Mentors Association of Jamaica President, Mrs. Karine Reed Buckner, and to coordinators of the subject alike, group alike, coordinators and facilitators who have made this program the success that it is. The Jamaica Teaching Council is pleased to present the beginning teacher cohort for 2022. We invite you now to immerse yourself in the journey that they have taken to get here. Do enjoy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. And at this time, I'll move right over to Mr. Darian Henry, the board chair for the Mentors Association of Jamaica, to bring greetings. Mr. Henry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mrs. Wilmot, thank you so much. Let me just try to turn on my camera. Apparently, I'm having a challenge turning on my camera. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm having a similar challenge, so I hope we resolve it soon.
Yes, I'm having a challenge. But Chairman or Master of Ceremony for the proceedings, or Honorable Minister of the Education and Youth, or Permanent Secretary, Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Gordon and the team at the Jamaica Teaching Council, board members and the executive of the Mentors Association of Jamaica. I want to wish all of you a very pleasant Monday afternoon. I'm very, very delighted to be joining this call to be a part of inducting our beginning teachers into the August profession in education. I want to take this opportunity to welcome one and all. I remember when I started years ago, I was wet behind the ears, but you have to drive your induction with passion. If the passion is not there, if you are not feeling the need to drive and to be a part of the change, you're going to have that kind of self-reflection. But once the passion is there, yes, once the commitment and the motivation, yes, to touch the lives of our young people, we can be a part of that answer, yes, to drive our country to a different dimension. It was just yesterday, colleagues, I was on Twitter, and a public commentator was making a number of tweets about the general breakdown of law and order, and more importantly, the breakdown of the family. Yes, we're not talking about the constitution of the family, which has far-reaching implications for the community. And when communities are impacted the way they are, it means that our country will be impacted in a positive way. Beginning teachers, you will have a big role to play in reconstituting and revitalizing the unit called the family. I really have to thank the Jamaica Teaching Council for the role that they've played in helping to shape and mold and now to induct our new teachers. Really have to lift my hats to the lecturers of the teachers' colleges, the administrations of the teachers' colleges, for preparing the various programs of pedagogy to get our young people on the battle lines. Yes, it is actually a battle lines, and we have to win this war. I'm very delighted at the theme that was selected, transforming education in the digital space, a most apt and relevant theme, because education now is being delivered on the digital highway. And guess what? There is absolutely no turning back, and we are slowly emerging from the pandemic. Yes, and we have for the last 2 years instituted many strategies. Yes, we have instituted many options of trying to deliver online. What I want to see, and I want my honorable minister to be talking even more and more about delivering access and equity to our young people. My heart was so disheartened when I heard of 120, 130,000 young people could not be found during the pandemic. They have not presented themselves for teaching and learning. Yes, we have to widen access. We have to get internet in every nook and cranny of our country so we can impact lives in ways more than one. Learning loss, colleagues, is significant. And I really want for you all to understand the implications of learning loss. I'll give you one. Just try to consider your workforce in another 5 to 10 to 15 years. Yes? If we do not lock it down from now as you profess into the profession, we're going to find ourselves in a problem that in 10 years, we have a workforce that is not effective because they have not gotten enough groundations where literacy and numeracy are concerned. So as you prepare to make that foray into education and making the impact at the classroom level, be mindful that you have a big role to play in recovering learning loss. It will take generations, yes, but with each and every single one of you, a change can happen. So the induction of new teachers is very paramount. Yes, how one enter upon the profession and how you enter upon the profession will have lasting implications. Young teachers, let me tell you, there are varied professionals right now who are prepared to guide you, to hold your hand. Yes, because this journey is not going to be easy, you know. Our young people, they're not the same anymore. Values have changed. Outlook has changed. But guess what? You have to teach them manners still in a style. You have to teach them social graces, please and thank you and excuse me, those things still in the style, you know. So as you enter upon your classroom to deliver potent content, remember the soft skills, remember those other skills which are going to be important in playing that role. Teachers, beginning teachers, let me just remind you, you're going to be playing a significant role in national development. Minister, yes, the compensation review is coming up. What is paid to teachers now needs to be vastly improved. And I'm expecting to hear exciting news coming up. Too many of our brightest teachers are leaving our country. We must ensure, Minister, we hold on to them because they hold the master key to national development. So that compensation review, Minister, I'm going to be holding you accountable for that because we love what we do, Minister. I certainly love what I do. I don't want to deploy my skills in another country. I want to do it for my country called Jamaica. I'm going to get old one day and walk with my walking stick. I want to be safe and I want to be in a prosperous country. So, Minister, I'm going to hold you accountable, you know. I want to make sure that when I see the compensation review, I look at livable wage for all teachers, not just principals, but teachers at the bottom of the scale that they can go and own a house and own a car comfortably. That's where we want to bring and elevate the teaching profession. But all I want to tell you, we all have a big role to play. You have a big role to play in holding up the profession. It must retain the prestige that is necessary. Let me say that one more time. The prestige, too much have been dissipated over the years because we have colleagues who have gotten themselves in too many problems. Stay away from problem. I'm going to be as pedantic with that. Stay away from problem. Be professional in all your pursuits. When you interact with your principals, when you interact with your heads of departments and grade supervisors, be professional in all there is. Each and every one of you have a role to play. Each and every one of you have a role to play in improving the prestige. So when we walk and when we talk and when we pervade ourselves on social media, people can say, yes, that is teacher. That's where we want to be as a country. That's where we ought to be. So I really have to congratulate all of you. I feel so proud this afternoon, knowing very well that a new crop of bright pedagogues are entering upon the profession. I'm praying God Almighty will bless all of you. Bless your lesson plans. Bless your pens. Bless the desk and the chairs that you sit on. Bless the meetings so that you can come with solutions and we can bring our country forward. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And congratulations, JTC. You have done an awesome and magnificent job. Jamaica is better off this afternoon. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you so much. And at this time, I am going to go right over to two of our beginning teachers who will be sharing their journey with us as they would have gone through the mentoring and induction of beginning teachers program. So at this time, I make welcome Mr. Deron Johnson from the Shortwood Teachers College and Mrs. Takis Jones from Church Teachers College to share your journey with us.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister Favour Williams. All protocols observed. Today we'll be just sharing a slice of our journey as practicing teachers and becoming the consummate professional. I'll invite my co-host, Mrs. Jones, to start, and I'll pick up afterwards.
Chairman, Mrs. Pert Wilmot, Chief Mentoring Officer of the Jamaica Teaching Council, Dr. Winsome Gordon, Chief Executive Director of the Jamaica Teaching Council, Mr. Chin, other members of the Jamaica Teaching Council, Minister of Education, Honorable Favour Williams, members of the Mentors Association of Jamaica, MAJ, other distinguished guests, colleagues, a pleasant evening to you all. We are delighted to share our journey in this mentoring and induction program with you all. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This popular quote can be used to express how we felt as we embarked on this mentorship journey as beginning teachers. As a fourth-year student on the throes of graduating and becoming a consummate professional, I have to say that the experience was chaotic. I would not have been able to stand here and say that I made it through without God, perseverance, and guidance. Guidance in the form of the seminars hosted by the Jamaica Teaching Council and the mentorship provided by the Mentors Association of Jamaica has been invaluable into my development as a professional.
So I'll just be looking at my Mondays. They were really, really hectic during the first semester of fourth year because I really had to balance a full day of teaching practice with seminars ranging from 5 to 7 p.m. and that was really draining on me. But even then, I understood that there needed to be a systematic approach to us developing as professionals. There needed to be preset seminars, training sessions, infographics, and mentoring, because we could not reach the endpoint on just academics and a degree. And so, while the seminars were at times not the best thing to look forward to after a long day, myself and my colleagues across colleges persevered and took in as much of them as we could. We would be lying if we said they were easy, but here we are at the end of it all, and much better off than we had started, indeed.
My Mondays too were tedious, as I had teaching practice in the day and had classes in the evening, which meant that I had to be juggling between classes and these sessions. It was a difficult task as both my class and these sessions were vital to me. My days became longer as I had to sit up after class ended at 8 to watch the recordings in order to complete my exit tickets. Despite the many challenges, we jumped the hurdles, pressed on, and today we are victorious as we have made it to the final leg of the journey.
Okay, so we'll be looking at some highlights that we picked up along the way. All the seminars were great, but some of the sessions, some certain things stood out to us. And I just really wanted to commend Mrs. Spirit Wilmot for being a force whose presence was felt throughout the entirety of these seminars. And so she was a highlight in her own right. Mr. Chin was right there with the tech support as well. But if I had to look back at the sessions, I distinctly remember the presentation by Mrs. Abigail Eubanks and Miss Jody Ann Banks about creating a dopamine classroom. It is always our priority as teachers to create an environment where not only learning can take place, but where meaningful memories can be made. And let's be honest, where the fun is. Students should not want to dread coming to our classes, whether it is history or English literature, or mathematics or science or business, because that classroom environment should be warm, inviting, and fun.
Mr. Johnson, I am in total agreement with you. Mrs. Spirit Wilmot and Mr. Chin ensured that we felt their warm presence each and every week. I lift my hats off to you both. All the sessions were informative and had some impact on me, but the highlight of the course for me was the presentation by Mrs. Rochelle Burrell, where we learned about e-portfolio and had the task of creating our own e-portfolios. I felt so accomplished when I created my e-portfolio. We salute you, Mrs. Burrell.
And I would also like to commend Mrs. Burrell, also Mrs. Jones, because I also distinctly remember the presentation where we had to do that e-portfolio. And I remember it because many of us did not understand what was required of us. But Mrs. Burrell was unwaveringly patient with us, and we did get it after all. So kudos to her.
I am not much of a tech-based person, and I was absolutely mortified when we were doing the presentation about data a couple of weeks ago. I had to really tune in and pay keen attention, and I think that was what helped me through that session. Paying keen attention, and I think that was what helped me through the session, paying keen attention to the matter or the matters at hand. I have to commend the presenters, Mrs. Kerry-Ann Buckner and Mrs. Lucienne Leslie, because I could not have done it myself.
I also enjoyed the breakout sessions that we did just last week, and I enjoyed the experience of being associated with a professional organization that not only governs the science teachers of Jamaica, but provides an avenue for networking and growth. I am sure that my colleagues as well can attest to the feeling of welcomeness in knowing that whatever the discipline, there was an association or a representative to make them feel like part of a greater cause. That presentation changed my outlook as a professional, and it also made me feel a greater sense of belonging. And it wouldn't be a reflection if we didn't look at then and now, how we have grown along the way. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I would end up as a science teacher, I would have shrugged it off and continued working my day job. However, here I am now, a couple months from graduating and being degreed, and I have to say the feeling is unreal. I have seen where a lot of my growth has come from the experience I have had in my professional development courses, as well as my own experiences. But I am happy to have had the opportunity to have these sessions as part of a real life format. Each presenter came with his or her own twist, his or her own experiences, and that authenticity is not something you can just pick up in a lecture. I am happy to call myself a teacher, and there definitely needs to be more work done and more niches to fill in education in Jamaica, but I can confidently say that we are the ones suited for the job. Wouldn't you agree, colleagues?
Teachers build champions. Teachers exist as a profession that far supersedes many others. And honestly, we can never be paid enough for molding lives. But that is the beauty of it, being able to take a child and bring him from point A to point B. And I aim to be that teacher that the students remember 5, 10, 15 years down the line. To be called teacher is a sign of victory. It is a sign of accomplishment, a feeling of fulfillment that can only be had for those persons who have taken up the mantle to become life changers, reflective practitioners, and difference makers in the Jamaican society and even beyond. And these are some commendations we have on the initiative. We would like to lift our hats to the Mentors Association of Jamaica for taking the time out to be the support group of trained teacher mentors who have been there throughout these sessions and will continue to guide us in our first year of practice. Not to take away from the vote of thanks, but I believe that Mr. Johnson and myself, as well as our colleagues here, ought to commend the Jamaica Teaching Council for taking this time out to invest in us and our development. A lot of us would not have known some of the things that we know now, or where we need to go to access this information, or even what numbers or which persons to contact for what purpose. We have gotten the opportunity to meet with and interact with so many different persons from so many different walks of life. And it continues to baffle me how much these sessions have become necessary for our development because the colleges cannot do it all. Teaching practice cannot do it all. And our own initiatives is only so good that if we know the right channels to go to, we owe it all to you.
Now, myself and Mrs. Jones have some takeaways that we have to mention in closing. And my key takeaway from all of this is, do not go in with a closed mind simply because you are not happy about something. And this applies to the sessions as well as to anything which is required that you attend. You can learn so much by just being receptive, being willing to learn, and being teachable, and having an open mind to new possibilities and new ideas.
And my takeaway from these sessions is that we should always remember that we are professionals and should act accordingly. We should always demonstrate professionalism in whatever we do and say. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Jones. And at this time, I want to welcome to the platform our Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Honorable Fable Williams. And I want to just commend her even before she comes for just making herself so reachable and available. And to thank you, Minister Williams, as you now come for just taking the time to have this time with our beginning teachers. Thank you so very much and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Minister Fable Williams.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me acknowledge Ms. Ingrid Wilmot, moderator and coordinator of the Beginning Teacher Induction Program, Dr. Maureen Dwyer, our Permanent Secretary Acting, Dr. Kassan Troop, our Chief Education Officer Acting, the indomitable Dr. Winsome Gordon, Chief Executive Officer, Jamaica Teaching Council, regional directors and their teams, presidents of colleges and their teams, chairmen of schools, principals and teachers, presenters in this program, beginning teachers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am very happy to join in today's induction ceremony for new teachers. Teaching always brings a special reward that comes from molding and influencing the lives of students who will mature and build on the foundations laid in the early years. Yes, this is a particularly interesting time to be a teacher in Jamaica. So much has happened, so much has changed since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though there had been incremental steps towards having a greater use of technology in education, teachers had no warning at all of the extent of the rapid transformation of a class from the four walls to a borderless space that the pandemic created. Members of the profession were agile, they were responsive and committed in meeting the challenges of the sudden change. Collaboration was needed and embraced. Some teachers were ahead of the group, and with the partnership of the Jamaica Teaching Council, were able to train their colleagues through voluntary service. This is a profession that awaits you in 2022. You are being inducted into an education system at a critical and consequential moment. Over the last few years, the Ministry of Education and Youth has been steadily engineering changes in the system to ensure greater levels of equity, provide improved process access, and deliver high quality education for all students. Indeed, many of our inductees are returning to classrooms as teachers that are very different from those they left as students, even those inductees who left the secondary system a mere 4 years ago may be surprised to see how different the classroom is today. While some of these changes have been occasioned by COVID-19, many have been implemented by the ministry to ensure that our educational practices meet international benchmarks and are consistent with research-based effective practices. You are returning to classrooms, for example, where specialist subject-based teaching is being implemented as a matter of policy in primary schools, and students in secondary schools are assured of 7 years of education. The classroom you will see when you return as educators is one in which students and teachers have more learning devices than at any other time in our history. And the digital divide, though not closed yet, has been greatly narrowed. These changes reflect the maturing of our education system and will redound to the benefit of our students. I assure you, inductees, that the education system in Jamaica is responsive to the changing times and has been strengthened to absorb shocks and has been provided with resources to become more agile, targeted, and responsive to individual learning needs. You can be proud to be a teacher in Jamaica. We at the Ministry of Education and Youth are excited to welcome you to the profession, and we have high expectations of you. You have had the benefit of watching from the sidelines as your in-service colleagues develop, refine, and perfect instructional practices suitable for the current challenges. You are beneficiaries of the lessons other educators have worked hard to learn over the last few months, and your training has exposed you to the varying ways in which technology can be used to engage learners' attention and enhance learning outcomes. I am aware that in addition to the rigorous program of study provided by your teacher training institutions and departments, you have also accessed an additional 20 hours of intensive job readiness training delivered by the Jamaica Teaching Council. You are therefore well positioned to create a positive impact in whichever school community that you're fortunate to have. Never in our history has the role and importance of teachers been as visible as it has been since the pandemic, which forced the closure of our schools just under 2 years ago. As frontline workers, teachers have carried with fortitude their share of the duties associated with the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The emotional toll of social distancing and virtual engagement, telling as it is for all members of society, has been particularly challenging for teachers. They had to reimagine lessons for effective delivery through various media. In face of the multitude of challenges, however, teachers found innovation and creative ways to teach through the pandemic, and they have to be applauded for that. They've learned new skills, pivoted towards new technologies, adapted their personalities for new modalities, made personal sacrifices, and managed the dual role of quieting their own anxieties about the pandemic while supporting students and parents. As we usher you into the profession, today you should appreciate that you stand on the shoulders of those who currently serve and who have amassed significant wisdom and technical know-how over the last few months. We entrust you to their care and encourage you to seek out mentors from among them. Be mindful, though, that the world is approaching a historical juncture where opportunities present themselves for us to rethink education. Do not be afraid to be an agent of change. I encourage you, therefore, to be unwavering in your pursuit of excellence, to be unafraid to challenge outdated modes of learning, and to be quick to reject assumptions that place limits on students' potential. As you start your journey in the profession, I wish you well. I encourage you to jump in, find a place in the line, put your shoulders to the wheel, and help us build a Jamaica that is a place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business, and I will add, to study in our institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Williams. Really appreciate your time. At this time, beginning teachers, we are going to invite you, if you want to interact with our minister for a minute or two, that you raise your hand. Remember, this is not the platform for a salary conversation. This is not the place. But if you want to interact with the minister, as she has made herself available, I want to just ask you to raise your hand, and you will be prompted to unmute and to do that. All right, so let me see if we have any hand raised at this time. I'm not sure why, Minister, but they're not talking with me. Okay, there is someone wants to talk with you. Okay, go ahead, Tevin Gibbons.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Minister.
sir.
I must
Good
say
afternoon,
I really like
Kevin.
your glasses.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone who wants to share, just raise your hand. We have another minute. Any question as you enter the profession for our Minister of Education?
While they're thinking about it, let me add, when I was talking earlier about the changes that they will see when they enter into the classroom, a significant change that we've implemented is the creation of lesson plans for our teachers. So in the old days, you would have to sit with pen and paper and go through, spend many, many hours thinking about the lesson plans. With the use of technology, we've been able to create a repository of lesson plans. We're not totally complete yet. At the end of it, we will have lesson plans for all grades, for all subjects. But we are a long ways into that in terms of getting to completion. And the repository is there, available for all our teachers. The lesson plans are more closely aligned with the national standard curriculum. And so what that means is a child in rural Jamaica with a teacher in rural Jamaica will be getting, or should be getting, the same kind of content as a child in, a school in Kingston, if I can use that analogy. We want to ensure that we reduce the differences across the system in terms of the content that the students are getting. I know that you will have differences in your classrooms. You'll have many students in classrooms at different levels, different pace, but that's one of the initiatives that we started during the pandemic with the goal of helping our teachers in terms of reducing the workload, but also exposing them to the many lesson plans that are available. And there are many teachers with very good lesson plans who would have also uploaded them to the system. It's another way of fostering collaboration across the education system. So I hope you take advantage of that as you come into the teaching profession.
Thank you so much. All right, for that addition. And I'm sure that, I would have appreciated that some time back. So at this time, I've noticed that we have another hand raised. And, I want to just remind us as we, type in the chat, as we share that we spoke about personal branding, and that's very important, our digital footprints as professionals. So at this time, I want to ask Mr. Lewin, author. If I'm not saying it right, Mr. Author, do forgive me. I'm going to ask you to unmute. You're prompted to unmute and to share. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Lewin. You're able to unmute. Do go ahead.
Right. It wasn't working before. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to make mention of the 5E lesson plans outline. I wanted to ask the practicality for this because I'm not seeing where its application has actually been something beneficial to the students. It's time consuming. The number of students that are present is not something that would, benefit them to the majority or the extent that we aim for it to. So I would like to ask if it's been revised, that we move from the 5E to the original outline that would have been used 5-10 years ago.
Okay, I know Dr. Troop is on, our Chief Education Officer, and I'm sure she's making a note of that, and will disseminate the answer or her thoughts on that. I don't know if Dr. Troop, she's on right now, if she'd want to respond to that one.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. Are you hearing me? I had some troubles
Yes,
unmuting.
yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay, good evening to the moderators. Good evening to our beginning teachers. I'm so proud to be sharing in this experience. Just want our teacher who asked a question, Minister, to understand that the 5E approach is the 21st century design. In fact, Jamaica is in line with what the standards are internationally concerning the development of lesson plans. So what we have done in light of what Minister just shared with you is to incorporate that in the designs of the plans that we have made available to you on our educatejamaica.gov.com.gov.jm platform. That's where you go and find the sample plans. But this is a great way to interact, to engage, and to get our students fully immersed in the lesson. So what you have now, though it may be a little technical in the beginning, it's really the new thrust in the development and execution of learning episodes. And so Jamaica is right in line with the rest of the world. And we wouldn't want to make a shift to go back to what previously existed. What we have done, as Minister said, is to make it a little easier for you by taking out the administrative work and freeing up your weekends by making the plans available to you. You would anticipate from the standards that we have online that you may be required to make some adjustments based on your context, because you will do your informal assessment and your formative assessments. And so some of the plans you may need to tweak for your clinical engagement with your students. But what we have there is embedded with the 5E model. And so we have made it a little easier. We are now procuring another 1,400 plans. We are actively in that process. So we have over 500 plans on the platform now, and we are going to get about another 1,400 plans available. So when you come into the system in September, you would have access to all these plans. So your job will be a little bit easier in developing and executing the learning episode. So we are right in line. Don't worry too much. We'll make it easier for you to understand when you get into the common planning sessions with our resource persons here in Central Ministry as well. Thank you, Minister.
Dr. Troop, someone is asking to put the link in the chat.
Okay, I will do that. Ingrid, Can you help me here? Because I'm on my cell phone. But
Not a problem.
Educate.gov.jm.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right. Some more hands raised, and I've Mr. O'Neill, you can go ahead, and then Mr. Aarons or Miss Aarons. So do go ahead and ask Minister the questions that you have.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, Mrs. Wilmot. I have not yet explored the option of changing my sex, so I'm still
I do apologize, Miss O'Neill.
Right.
And I hope you don't do that.
I don't intend to. All right. So my concern is a little bit more elaboration on the mandatory 2 years for our students beginning September, I believe. Many of my colleagues have been mentioning that, they're finding it difficult to find jobs after finishing school. So what are the implications of, getting a job out of college as a beginning teacher, especially for this batch of graduates, as in regard to this new regulation, or is that policy or regulation? I'm not sure, but if the minister could kindly speak a little bit on that, it would be appreciated.
Okay, so, and I'll ask Dr. Troop as well to come in. The 7-year high school, actually, if you go back and look at the Education Act, it prescribes school up to age 19. But we've just, well, over the decades, we have had 6 forms. We've had 2 additional years of high school for students. But when you look at the numbers, it's the students who take advantage of additional 2 years are students who pass CSEC, 5 CSEC with math and English. They have dreams of going on to tertiary, and so they go through the CAPE studies. There wasn't really any other options for students who graduate at grade 11. So what we've created are 2 new programs. And so we've called our programs pathways. So the traditional CAPE program would be pathway 1. Then we have pathway 2 and 3. It's more technical based, more TVET based for our students who would have gotten to grade 11 and for whatever reason, they did not graduate with any subjects or with only a few subjects, but they need additional skills in order to go out into the work world to find that job, to be at that level that employers would find them attractive in terms of their skills. Additionally, during those 2 years, the student might mature in their knowledge base, and they are able to go on to tertiary institutions here or abroad in the region. So it's creating opportunities for our students to help them to develop more so that their life choices are wider. They have more options available to them than they would have under the existing system. In terms of your question about work, maybe you could elaborate on it a little bit more in terms of being able to find a job, so I can answer that.
I'm seeing in the chat where some persons, minister, are saying that they have been on numerous interviews, but have not been successful. But just to say, teachers, that one of the things you would have been asked to do in your portfolio writing is your resume, etc., which we share with the principals as we did last year. So all the beginning teachers, your information is shared with the principals across primary through to secondary schools. And we want you to look at how you're marketing yourselves. We would have done with you, the whole training of doing your resume, etc., and preparing for the interview. And teachers are getting jobs. There are schools that are recruiting. So while Minister addresses that, I also want to put that point in of how you sell your brand as a teacher and prepare for that. All right, notwithstanding the challenges that are real, we also look within to see what is it that I could do differently. We also have, I'm not sure if it is Mr. or Miss Aarons. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to take just 3 more and then we're going to have to stop. So Aarons, I'm going to ask you to unmute so that you can ask your question, and then I'll go to Marvin. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Mr. Aaron.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, at first, I want to say a big thank you for the invite, and good afternoon to the conveners of this meeting, the minister person, and colleagues. I really want to congratulate the JTC and the work that they have been doing for both the beginning teachers and the veteran teachers. And I really want to highlight that this year, we are extremely delighted with the batch of beginning teachers that we have got. And you mentioned a word just now, brand, and our theme for this year at the noon is building your brand with the right attitude. And I think for those who are concerned about landing a job, it really starts from your approach, your attitude precedes you. And so we want to make sure that in spite of what they may have on paper, it is just your presence and how you present yourself. So I just wanted to say for this, Stephen, just to be positive and congratulations again to JPC, what you have been doing, what has been mandated, and we are bearing the fruits. And we know that in 4 or 5 years' time, we will have a definitely much better workforce as it relates to teachers. Keep up the work. Kudos.
Okay, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that, Minister, but thanks, Mr. Aarons. All right, and then we're going to go to Marvin. Marvin, you're prompted to unmute. Do go ahead and unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I have 2 quick. Okay, so Minister, you made mention that we have transcended or reached beyond the physical walls of the classroom. And is there any networking taking place between the different countries within the region, Barbados, Trinidad? And if not, is there any plans in place to, improve or reach or networking? That's my first question. And secondly, I understand that the Finance Ministry has the Marcus Garvey Scholarship going on, but it's just a few persons who have access to it. Is there any plans for the Ministry of Education to just, include some more of those for us?
Okay, on your first question about networking, even within the education system here in Jamaica, there's opportunities for networking or quality education circle through the Jamaica Teaching Council. There are many opportunities across the region. I would say yes, Dr. Troop, if you have any example of that, please let me know. But I know because we have a common examination body, we have a common university across the region. There are opportunities for us to reach out across the region and do the kind of networking I think that you're asking about. In terms of scholarships, the Ministry of Education and Youth annually does award scholarships. We, last I look, I think on an annual basis, anywhere between $350 to $400 million is what would be disbursed through our scholarship unit. There is a process where you apply for it. The application is evaluated and the award is made. So I think it opens prior to school being open in September. So during the summer, I think it's a period when applications should be coming in. Dr. Troop, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, Minister, I think you have touched it all. We do collaborate across the region. In fact, just recently we were discussing with Minister that the things that we have here in Jamaica really are the gold standards. And so our colleagues in the region, they rely on us. When we had to pivot in the pandemic, the CEOs for the regions, we got together, and it was the Jamaican model that was shared across the sector for the other regions to model. We also, our National College for Educational Leadership partners with the region in providing a similar training model for them. And so it is our college that trains their principal for recruitment in their system. And of course, at the CXC level, Minister, we collaborate to look at the assessment, the National Assessment Program. We review the syllabi, we determine the new cycle of assessment. We work together to determine the new areas of development with respect to the new demands of the workforce. And so that information goes into the development of new syllabi for CXC and for implementation within our schools. So a lot of work takes place across the region among us as professionals. And of course, Minister, the the Commonwealth of Learning organization also brings us together for sharing and development. So a lot of work takes place. And as you have indicated, we have scholarships available every year, 350 million to about 400 million from our side. And we also share the information with respect to scholarships shared with us from the Ministry of Finance. That comes across from Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, the Cuban Scholarship and others. So pay attention to when you go out into the system, we send out bulletins frequently. As a beginning teacher, that's your source of information. So we will be sharing the applications for the grants from our tertiary units, the time period and so forth. We will be giving you an email address. I think you may have it already if you registered with JTC, and that email address will be your point of contact with us. The minister writes to our teachers. We write from our operation ends to our teachers. And so this is where you will be kept abreast. Though you may have your personal email addresses, the one assigned by the ministry is very, very important for you to use to stay in touch and to be abreast of what's going on.
And thank you.
And
Thank
Dr.
you so
Chu,
much,
those
Dr.
are, let me just say, those are some of the changes that are happening in the teaching profession.
Right. And just to say that all our beginning teachers would have been assigned their MOE school's email address. We would have collaborated with our coordinators and ESMS to get them, everyone their MOE school email addresses. And you would have had those already, teachers. So we ask that you use those regularly to get information from the ministry. And so at this time, I see Dr. Gordon's hand is raised. Dr. Gordon, do go ahead. Dr. Winsome Gordon, Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Teaching Council. Go ahead, Dr. Gordon.
Thank you, Moderator Wilmot. Honorable Minister, I just would like to inform our young colleagues that the collaboration and networking also has now reached Latin America. So there's a Latin America and the Caribbean network, and the JTC has been giving leadership to the collaboration in STEM with our master teachers. And we also have international networks through the International Task Force in Education. So young teachers, we do have opportunities within our networks. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. I'm going to take just one more in the interest of time. And so, Ms. Jamil Johnson, I'm going to prompt you to unmute, and then Mr. Stephen Mawat, and those are the two hands raised. And so we're acknowledging both hands are raised. Go ahead. So sorry. Go ahead. You can now unmute.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, so I heard Minister Williams talking about the lesson plan. I was asking, are there lesson plans written for special education, and are there facilities for these students when we go out in the working world?
Yes, the lesson plans, as you know, we are an inclusive education system. At the ministry, we do have a special education unit, so we're always looking out for our students. Even during the pandemic, we were sure to make sure that in our distribution of devices that are special education students are included. Obviously, the instrument had to be tailored based on their situation. But we do, and I think lesson plans are being developed. We are not complete with everything yet. We're not 100% of the way there, but I would safely say that there are plans for special education.
Yes, Minister, they are. And also we have a network for parents of students with special needs. We work with those parents on an ongoing basis with training. We also make sure that they are exposed to the curricula for the different types of disabilities that our students are faced with. We also provide accommodations for those students, as Minister said. So if a student needs to be helped with mobility, we assign a caregiver paid by the government to that parent and that child to make sure that that child is supported. We provide exclusive environments at a rate of Minister, I think we spend like $350,000 for each space for those students in the exclusive services. We provide therapeutic services for those who need to be treated in that way by therapists. And so we do have a comprehensive inclusive model for those children and their parents as well.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Dr.
Thank you,
Troop.
Dr. Troop.
And I also want to add, Dr. Troop, that the question also would take in the support group for teachers. So if you have any response to that, as also, you know, within the Mentors Association, we do have trained mentors who are support for our new teachers in that area. But is there anything in the ministry in terms of support for teachers?
Yes. All those teachers who work in those exclusive schools, they are on a special grouping or a network that is led by the ACEO for the special education unit, and they meet regularly to treat with the challenges that they are faced with, and we get recommendations from them that we can, you know, implement throughout the system to make things easier for those students. When it comes on to the accessibility services with respect to the technology, we have to train those teachers in using those facilities. And so we put them in a group similarly as we have done for the parents as well.
Thank you, Dr. Troop. And so we're going to take the last beginning teacher, last hand that is raised. At this time, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead, Mr. Mott, Mr. Stephen Mott.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Facilitators. Okay, so this is a two-part question, so I'll begin with the long-term question first. Are there any long-term plans in place to equalize the distribution of resources across secondary institutions, and also to increase the number of secondary institutions so that teachers do not have to go outside of their parish of residence to find favorable opportunities?
Okay, so you may be aware that the World Bank just completed a study looking at government expenditure in our schools, primary and secondary schools, and they would have given us a number of recommendations. One of them includes looking at how schools, like right now, the model that's used is a per capita, meaning on a per student basis. So, you know, a school that is well endowed, that has 1,000 students, would get the same amount as a school that is not so well endowed, but has 1,000 students. So that is something that we will be exploring in the months to come. I cannot say today whether, you know, what the changes will be, if any. We have to look at what is, we have to look at if we're going to make changes, what does that mean for our budgets, the schools, and so on. But it is a very active and alive topic at the Ministry of Education and Youth. In terms of creating more schools, you might have heard recently the Prime Minister announce the building of 6 STEM schools and 1 performing arts schools. We are in the process of looking across Jamaica and looking at different sites. Obviously, we have to look at the underlying communities in terms of the number of students that are in those communities, the growth projections for, you know, the areas. So we're always looking at our schools. We're always doing survey of registration of students at schools, enrollment, and so on, to see how we optimize better where our schools are located when we have to make a decision about building new schools or about expanding existing ones and so forth. I know the system overall is not as optimized as we would like it to be. It's grown up over the years, just adding schools here and in different communities, depending on what the census data at that time was telling us. But it's a good time now, having gone through the pandemic, having had greater adoption in the school system of technology. It's a good time for us now to look back on what we have and to see how we can position it better for the years to come. And when I said at the beginning, you're entering teaching at an exciting time. It was not just speaking words. It is indeed true. Jamaicans are very open to changes in the education system. They're embracive of changes and so on. They've embraced technology. And, you know, we are happy that you're here. You're at the beginning of the changes. You're at the beginning of the thinking that's going on in education, and you will help us to reimagine what education will be for the years to come.
Okay, thank you, Minister. And the final question, the short-term question, while most of my colleagues and I are on teaching practice, we are expected to perform the duties of an employed teacher with one major difference, the fact that there is a difference in obviously salary. So we're expected to perform at the employed teacher level, but we do not have access to the resources, especially, for example, the school I am at, they don't even have a projector. So it is very difficult for us with our, as you said, our innovation and our ideas to perform at that level while we're lacking in our basic commodities. We cannot provide, we're not working, so there's no access to pay for transportation, food, and all of those things. We are financing all of these things. So are there plans in place for us as beginning teachers to receive some sort of monetary compensation to offset the cost of all of these things while we're on this extended teaching practice?
Okay, I'm going to ask the PS, I don't know if she's on, to speak to issues of compensation, or Dr. True.
Minister, the model that we have been employing over the years is that the teachers they are students. And so as part of completing their program of study, they are given the opportunity to be exposed to the learning environment. In so doing, we have asked the participating schools to provide the resources as they would normally do for the teacher who is deployed to manage that class. So the practice teacher should have an opportunity to capitalize on the resources at the school to enable him or her to carry out his or her duties as they are developing, they are being exposed. So that's the model that is now in operation. So they are not on the job, they are being trained. The teacher for the class that they are assigned is supposed to be with them in that class. I know sometimes they tell us that they are left alone, and so they feel as if they are managing on their own. And I know sometimes, Minister, some of the schools don't have the resources like the one that was just mentioned there. So they are challenged in the field. We will have to look at that, you know, and make sure that even in selecting the schools that they go, that kind of information is utilized before a student is put in an environment that he or she can't be the best and bring the best to the table. So we have to look at those things. But at this point in time, it's not a paid experience, and it's something that we may have to look at for review, but it is an experience to give them a feel of what the working world is like, for them to develop their confidence in delivery, for them to be mentored at the school level, to see the operations of a school, to see how lesson plans are developed, to be exposed to common planning, to be exposed to sports day, organizing other things, exposed to clubs and societies. So when they go in front of that interviewer for that job that they are looking, they can speak to the operations of a school. So there are value-added experiences that they will need and that this model affords them that will help them towards their future. So sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the investment for you to get that job going forward, and that experience guarantees that readiness for that interview, Minister.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Chu. Thank you, everyone. I know that the education system is not where it should be. If you look at the resources that are available from school to school, but I know that we are working hard to ensure that we, get into our schools, we understand what the needs are, and as far as possible within the budgets that we have, we're working to ensure that we give our schools as much as we can And yes, the infrastructure of many schools are not there. I see someone in the chat talking about not having, I guess, an outlet, an electrical outlet. We know we have a long list of needs from the school, and we are ramping up our efforts to ensure that we address them in the shortest possible time. There are many, thousands of requests and needs, but I believe we're doing what we can to get out there and to help our schools. So I want to thank you, everyone, and again, welcome to the teaching profession. And I hope that you will have the best experience possible in whatever school you go to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Williams. We appreciate the time that you have taken to be here with us. And I'm sure that our teachers can appreciate, having this opportunity to have this conversation with you. And so once again, on behalf of the beginning teachers and all the teachers and principals here, thank you so much for answering the questions and also for your presentation. At this time, we are now going to go to, I'm sorry if there are other questions. Thank you. Yes, you can put your responses in the chat. We appreciate that. You can make your comments in the chat. As I want to once again remind you, teachers, that whatever you do, remember that you're talking about your personal brand, and it's really very important that you always ensure that you represent yourself in a manner that, looking back, you can be very, very proud. All right, because you are a teacher, and if we don't get it right, nobody else will. Thank you much. We're going to be moving on at this time, and we should be having an item from Spalding Primary. Mr. Chin, if you'd be so kind as to share that with us, we'd appreciate. Over to you, Mr. Lonry Chin. Remember to add the sound, Mr. Chin. All right. Mr. Chin, just add the sound to the video. All right, so while Mr. Chin is, okay, wonderful. We're still not hearing Mr. Chin. So share your sound from your device, the computer. Share sound. Click on the share sound. All right, so while Mr. Chin is, are we ready? While Mr. Chin is getting that ready, we're going to be now preparing for our next speaker as we are getting closer home. And so at this time, Mr. Chin, if you're not ready, just let me know. We can come back. All right, so in the interest of time, we're going to be, we're going to be going to, go ahead, Mr. Chin, we're going to be going to our regional directors as they will be sharing with us. All right, still no sound, Mr. Chin. So we will come right back to you as we want to hear from our children who have taken the time out to do this very special item for our beginning teachers. We're still not hearing the sound, so we're going to come back. At this time, I'm therefore going to move over to our regional directors, and I'm going to go from Region 1. If by any chance I've missed anyone, I'm going to ask that you just raise your hand so I can make you co-host. So I'm going to go ahead. So we do have Ms. Jasmine Kennedy. And so I'm going to ask at this time that we make her welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Peart Wilmot. Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Ingrid Peart Wilmot. The Honorable Minister of Education and Youth, Honorable Favor Williams, P.S. Marine Dwyer, Dr. Gordon, Executive Director, and the team at the JTC, Dr. Kassan Troop, CEO Acting, colleagues, directors, Assistant Chief Education Officers, representatives from the various teacher training institutions, teachers, other invited guests, good evening. I am indeed excited to be associated with this program this evening and to celebrate with our beginning teachers. It is said that before you start anything, then you must learn how to finish it. That is, begin with the end in mind. Quoting Stephen Coy, he admonishes us to begin with the end in mind. And by this he means that to start with a clear understanding of one's destination. At the forefront of one's mind should be a knowledge of where he or she intends to go. And having placed oneself in this position allows one to understand better where they are and to enable the steps to take in order to always veer in the right direction. Having said this, I welcome you wholeheartedly, our new beginning teachers, to the field of education, the Ministry of Education and Youth, and to the Region 1 family for those who will be serving in this region, the epitome of excellence. This excellence is revealed most in the positive outcome of our students who on a daily basis surmount the various obstacles that lie thrown at them. Indubitably, we rely on the wit, competence, and commitment of our teachers to help to build the bridges for students to attain their purpose in life. And so we embrace you as teachers who are well-rounded, reflective, and creative practitioners willing to extend selves beyond the call of duty. Understanding that the goal of education is not just the advancement of knowledge and the dissemination of information, but instead encompasses a holistic approach that goes beyond the surface and positively molds the affective. You are called to serve for such a time as this, to mold the minds of the nation's children, utilizing 21st century methodologies and technologies, which we anticipate will redound to finally contributing to the achievement of Jamaica 2030 vision of positioning Jamaica as the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. As a result of your contribution to teaching and learning, innovation, and character development, we envision that this vision will indeed come alive. My colleagues, it is in this breath, that I want to implore you that as you enter the classroom, be reminded that education is not only about the past and the present, but it is also the key to the future. It will indeed assist with the discipline of our children for the intellectual challenges of the 21st century learners. You should also be cognizant of the fact that your approach to learners can be the centrifugal force that brings about transformation in the life of each child. Therefore, teachers, I implore you to give of your best, because only your best is good enough in this time. Welcome, welcome to the exciting field of education. It is my hope that you will want to serve at all levels of the education system in due time. We are opening up the gate for you to just flow seamlessly into higher sectors of the system, which you feel that you will be able to impact as you grow and prosper. Bless you. And I'm really anticipating learning about your success over time. I thank you. Be good. We are here to hold your hands. We are on the same team. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kennedy. And
You're
so
most
at this
welcome.
time, we're moving over to Region 2. Region 2.
Thank you, Mrs. Peart Wilmot. Good evening, everyone. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, Acting CEO, Dr. Troop, Dr. Gordon, and all the other members of staff from the Jamaica Teaching Council, or presenters, supporters, beginning teachers, all, good evening. I want to say welcome to all the beginning teachers, to the greatest profession of all time, teaching. And yes, we do have some challenges, but it's still the best place to be. We're truly happy that you've chosen to be trained, certified, and mentored as professional educators. And that is the reason I'm happy to be a part of your induction this evening. We now look forward to you becoming employed and continually improving as effective practitioners in this distinguished field. We anticipate welcoming many of you to the Pride of the East in Region 2, where we serve the parishes of St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary. Region 2 is the region of care. We are fueled by commitment, accountability, resilience, and efficiency. And we know that all the teachers who come to this region will shine as carers for our children. You will find our regional office in Paisley Gardens, Portland, at the east entrance of the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. And I just want to say a special shout out to any inductees that we have from CASE. You are our closest neighbors, and perhaps many of you will find employment in Region 2. But wherever you will come from, we are looking forward to serving you. One of my favorite authors once shared that true education is about creating thinkers and not merely persons who are reflectors of other people's thoughts. And so, beginning teachers, I want you to know that you're going out to help Jamaica create more thinkers. Indeed, critical thinking is a hallmark of the 21st century student and the 21st century citizen. And so I urge you to continually research, analyze, experiment, and apply your new thoughts. And so your students will exemplify what you will be demonstrating for them and become great thinkers themselves. So on behalf of the educators and the team here in Region 2, I want to welcome you to the profession and greet you heartily. We look forward to supporting and guiding you as you join the teaching ranks. Congratulations, inductees, and every blessing for a very rewarding career.
Thank you so very much. I feel like I want to come to Region 2 now. But as we go around the island, let's see. So I was at Region 1 just now, and now I'm in Region 2. So we now go over to Region 3. Thank you very, very much. Do we have a representative from Region 3?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon and welcome.
Great, wonderful. So, Carlene Segri, and I'm the Acting Regional Director in Region 3. Let me greet our Honorable Minister of Education, Mrs. Favola Williams, and I wish to also greet the other members of the Executive Management Team of the Ministry of Education and members of the JTC. Let me greet Dr. Gordon and also my colleague, Regional Directors. A special greeting, of course, to our inductees, our beginning teachers. And I really want to use this opportunity to let you know that you, as I've heard Dr. Grant speaking it into being said, you're in the best profession and the right profession. You made the right choice. And so, as a teacher myself, a teacher from the heart, I just want to give a heartfelt welcome to you from us here in Region 3, which comprises St. Anne and the Trelawney, to let you know that we want to welcome you and provide for you the relevant support that is necessary as soon as you join our school system. We want to know you to know that we are here for you to guide and support you in the best way possible. I'm driving if it sounds a little bit jagged. I just left the office a few moments ago. Certainly, I want you to know that as a region of trailblazers, we are really into creating impact here in the region. We want our teachers to know that a great focus we have now in the region is really to turn around lives, to ensure that the investments that the Ministry of Education would be making in our schools, we're able to see the best returns in terms of the outcomes from our students in terms of national examinations and so on, their own personal development and their own social development across the region. So for us, we are big on school effectiveness, all around institutional effectiveness. We are big on teacher efficacy and of course, all around student attainment. It is what we speak about. We just came out of a meeting and that is what we're talking about. We want to see the change in our students and we want our students to know that it is the impact of teachers like you who will make the changes happen in their lives for their future development. So I wanted to welcome you once more as you have been warmly welcomed by all before, but just to let you know that we over here in Brownstown are anticipating meeting you in the shortest possible time. Those of you who will be working in the region or have started to work in the region, we welcome you. We are here to provide for you the support. We have a very active schools personnel unit that treats with the matter as it relates to your personnel matters, as it relates to your employment issues and so forth. And we have education officers who are excited and enthusiastic about sharing their own pathway with you. And because of course, the education officer core is a natural pathway that we're expecting that some of you will end up in. You're not only will be teachers, but very soon, maybe another 10 years, some of you will be principals, and further down the line, some of you will become education officers yourselves. Because after all, the function of leadership is to produce more leaders and not more followers. So I really welcome you and thank you for listening to me. And I wish for you all on the platform this evening, a very good evening and a very safe one too.
Thank you so very much. As we continue around the island, we now go to Region 4. So we'll hear from our regional director in Region 4. I'm sure I saw Dr. Pinnock earlier. Dr. Pinnock.
Mrs. Wilmot, you need to make her co-host again.
Okay, thank you. And then we're going to go right over to Region 5. So Dr. Pinnock, I'm using two devices. Dr. Pinnock, you're now free to talk. They have taken the bridle off your mouth. Over to you.
We are not hearing you, Dr. Pinnock. We are not hearing you. Still no sound.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I think I hear you now.
Again, okay. All right. So good evening, everyone. To our Honorable Minister, or Permanent Secretary, or Chief Education Officer, or Deputy Chief Education Officer, Dr. Winsome Gordon and the JTC team, to our principals, mentors, regional directors, education officers, beginning teachers, good evening. What a wonderful evening. I greet you well. And yes, I greet you well. And I'm so excited to be with you. And I want to just start with a congratulations to you. To our beginning teachers, those of you who did teach in practice, I want to say to you that you helped us to transition in this different time in the pandemic. We really appreciate you. And those of you that were in Region 4, that's St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland, I did hear about you, and I did come into some of your classes. So congratulations and thank you. Welcome to the teaching profession. You are certainly going to be having fun. I want to speak about Region 4, the region of innovators, the region where we collaborate for the empowerment of all. We're talking about a total of 165 schools, 11 infant schools, 3 tertiary, and we have secondary schools, 25, 128 primary, and the special education school. Colleagues, I want you to understand that in the region, we really nurture each other. We stand together as a team. And so on a Thursday, we have Tech Tools Thursday, where we come together as teachers. And I know some of our beginning teachers have been on, and we just share and support each other so that you understand that you are never, ever alone as a teacher. We stand together and we believe in uplifting all. And so in the region, we're into the business of agriculture. And here you're seeing community members partnering with our teachers. We're talking about our early childhood schools. And so we've just taken a few of the pictures so that you can look at that. Innovation, numeracy day. And of course, we have our students all excited about learning because colleagues, let me tell you, we have to make sure that our teaching and learning can compete with the video games, compete with the television, all of those different things. So the person that asked about the 5 E's, I would just love to have a conversation with you because guess what happens? The 5E comes naturally when we're talking about teaching and learning. The format of the lesson plan is minor, but when we look at the approach to teaching, we must use the 5 E's. We must take on the 4 C's, the collaboration, the critical thinking, the communication, and of course, the creativity. In the region, we're big on engagement, student engagement. So we're talking about the literacy, especially for the boys. And I'm sure Dr. Gordon is very happy to see me having those boys right there up there in terms of the literacy. We actually believe in this whole business of involving parents because beginning teachers understand everybody wants their child to be the best, no matter what is happening to them, whether they can read or not. It is the school. We as educators, we have to just stand beside them and support them. So right here, a parent from Little Bay Primary and Infant School, I'm telling you, Mr. Young, if you get a chance to speak with him, you'll understand how he sits and allows the school to help him to support his child. And I want to say parental involvement is important, irrespective of which region you're in. Of course, our guidance counselors, we want to big up all our guidance counselors. We want you to know that, listen, you are going to be making sure that we can support that psychosocial aspect. All right. In the region, I want to say to you that we're innovators, and right here we have a teacher that is really using his cell phone to teach technical drawing in the virtual space. And we're able to really get the excitement going. And I know beginning teachers, you have all the knowledge there and the creativity. And so we are waiting to tap into those energies. I want to say to you, colleagues, that together we are going to be making this education business work. we're going to be ensuring that our children are excited about this business of learning, that they enjoy it, that they're able to sustain themselves. And of course, they're seeing this relevance. In Region 4, Spanish is very important to us. And so we have many different functions in terms of trying to empower and get children excited about Spanish. Sports, of course, the excitement of sports. And we know that, listen, we have to meet our children where they are so that they will return to school tomorrow for another exciting day. And so I want to say to you that you have chosen the best profession. I want you to understand that every expert was once a beginner, and together we stand right beside you, empowering you to be more. And I want to tell you that I will stand right beside you, I will teach right beside you, and I will learn right beside you, because guess what happened? A teacher never, ever stops learning. And so together, we are going to be the change that we want to see in the world. And so as innovators, we march together as a team towards excellence, because guess what happens? We are going to make sure that everybody is able to maximize their potential. So welcome, welcome, welcome to our beginning teachers. And we wish you every success. And of course, to those that will be in Region 4, I look forward to meeting you. Congratulations, beginning teachers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pinnock. So we've gone from Region 1. Remember, we're going around the island beginning teachers. So we've gone from Region 1, we've gone over to Region 2, Region 3, we got to Region 4, and now we're right at Region 5 with Mr. Otis Brown. So at this time, we want to welcome Mr. Otis Brown, Regional Director for Region 5. Thank you so much, Dr. Pinnock.
Mrs. Spirit Wilmot, our moderator, to the Honorable Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favor Williams, to our Acting Chief Education Officer, Dr. Casson Troop, Acting DCEO, Miss Janet Brim, Dr. Winsome Gordon, Executive Director of the Jamaica Teaching Council, to our fellow regional directors online, representatives of the teachers' colleges from across the island of Jamaica, to our inductees and all other attendees in this evening's ceremony, I'd like to say to you a bright good evening. It is my inestimable pleasure to bring greetings this evening from the Ministry of Education and Youth, particularly Region 5, which covers the parishes of Manchester and St. Elizabeth, the office for which is situated at 17 South Racecourse Road in Mandeville, Manchester. I'd like to say at this point to our beginning teachers, apart from making the decision to serve the Lord, I'd like to say to you, you would have made the very best decision to decide on becoming a teacher and educator, and might I also add, in the island of Jamaica. So a wholehearted welcome to all of you inductees who are now about to join the teaching profession. At this very point, I'd like to encourage you to be strong, to have eyes opened, to see what's happening around you in the field of education. I'd like to encourage you to become avid readers. I'd like to see you visiting the website, for example, of the Ministry of Education and Youth, and getting acquainted with what really happens in schools through the documents uploaded there, including the bulletins that are so frequently published about different programs in Jamaica. For example, we are now focusing on the NSLIP, that learning intervention program that is intended to help our children to recover from the learning loss they would have experienced due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like to encourage you to look at the 6th form pathways And the other programs that the Ministry of Education and Youth at this time is really putting out there, rolling out there for the benefit of our children in the island of Jamaica. Might I encourage you to be very creative, highly reflective, be deep thinkers, come up with creative pedagogical approaches to teach the children the way they learn. Because remember, you can't teach them if you don't reach them. So you must make sure you are reaching them so that you will be able to teach them. I'd like that to really connect this evening. I'd like you to lead by example. Model that indomitable spirit that is necessary for you to champion education in Jamaica. I am speaking from Region 5, and Region 5 is the region of all champions. And so I'd like you to unleash that indomitable spirit as you enter the classrooms to teach our children so that you can ignite the passion in them for learning, thereby causing them to exhibit the spirit of excellence as children attending school. I don't want you to go out there comparing yourselves with others too much, because it is a very dangerous thing to compare yourself to somebody's middle when you are just at the beginning. Therefore, I want you to grow in grace. I want you to grow in this profession. And what will cause this to happen? Practice. You will practice until practice becomes a practice. And I want you to know that the pedagogical approaches are there. You need to do the research beyond what you would have done in the universities and the colleges. You are joining the profession during the COVID-19 pandemic as a situation that has caused us to be in what is called a VUCA environment. It is volatile, it is uncertain, it is complex and rather ambiguous. But I want to say to you this evening, although it is ambiguous and all the other things that make it appear so negative, it is an opportunity to look at those areas where changes may be needed and come up with creative ways and suggestions and proposals to effect these changes. Oh, you are just beginning. And I wonder if I can. Oh, yes, you can. You definitely can. Remember, I can't is a dwarf, but I can is a giant. You are going to be giants in this profession in the positive ways, where you are going to empower children and not overpower children. You are going to lead them by example in the way you attire yourselves, in the way you speak with them, or the interactions that you will have with them. And might I remind you of something? I'm speaking out of 24 years of passion for the greatest profession on earth, because all the lawyers and the doctors and all the other people who are out there, they must come through the hands of teachers. Remember these words this evening as I close, and remember them well. Robert John Mahan. Listen to what he says. A key to growing as an educator is to keep company mainly with teachers who uplift you, whose presence inspires you, and whose dedication drive you. Remember, in Jamaica, we say, show me your company and I can tell you who you are. And that holds true in a number of situations. May I say to you, beginning teachers, my new colleagues, I have spent the last 24 years of my life working in this profession. And I want you to know with an abundance of clarity that if the world were to start over again, I would choose to become a teacher again. An irreplaceable profession. You are very, very important. The Lord's blessings upon you as you go forth and light the way for Jamaican children to do well, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. God bless you. Speak life, open your mouth and speak life into what appeared to be dead circumstances, remembering Ezekiel in that valley of dry bone. The spirit of excellence is upon you, and God's blessings. Walk good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. So teachers, we have gone right around the island. We are now at Region 6. And so we've heard from Mr. Brown, and now we're going over to hear from Mrs. Forbes Hall, Region 6, as we make her welcome. So Mrs. Forbes Hall, over to you.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Wilmot, Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favor Williams, our Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Dwyer, our Chief Education Officer, Dr. Kisan Troop, our Deputy Chief Education Officers, colleague, regional directors, or ACEOs, other officers of the executive arm of this ministry. By extension, of course, the Jamaica Teaching Council, Dr. Winsome Gordon and her team, very efficient team, our educators, ladies and gentlemen, our beginning teachers, good evening to you all. It is indeed my pleasure to participate in this very exciting ceremony. What is the world without teaching? Region 6 is located in the parish of St. Catherine. And of course, we live by our mantra, inspiring and nurturing greatness, because we do believe that our teachers, our students, our stakeholders and our partners, they come to us great. We benefit from their greatness and the region is better for it. It is our belief that as educators and stakeholders, we have a duty to create the Jamaica the next generation can continue to be proud of. Our region has some of the best, and I say the best schools in the country. We have 2 tertiary institutions, we have 92 primary schools, 23 high schools, and we have 5 infant schools that stand alone outside of the infant department concept. Beginning teachers, teaching is hard. Yes, it is hard. But as a region, we're committed to providing the required support to our teachers as you enter the system. We're also committed to celebrating your wins, because indeed your wins are our wins. And we commit to nurturing you in your moments of weakness and cheer you on in your moments of celebration. We are in a time where the education system needs you now more than ever. And I say now more than ever. 5 years ago, 2 years ago, perhaps, 2 years ago, many of us would not have even imagined that our classes would have gone online for 2 years. But we did it, Jamaica, and we're proud of ourselves. With you, our beginning teachers, we know we will do better, and we know that our education system will be significantly improved because of the energy that you will bring, and the creativity, the dynamic spirit that you will bring to the profession will, of course, make the Jamaican education system one worth admiring. We do not expect you to just be regular teachers, but we want you to be reminded of the words by Maya Angelou. And she says, if you always try to be normal, you will never know how amazing you could be, end of quote. I urge you, my beginning teachers of Region 6, the doors of Region 6, the Old Harbor Regional Office, those doors are opened very wide to receive you with love, care, and compassion. And so our personnel team is waiting to address your personnel related matters. Our team of education officers, we await you to invigorate your spirit with teaching methodologies and support. So today, be committed to being amazing, ladies and gentlemen, not just as a teacher, but be amazing on your journey as an educator, that at the end of the day, the generations to come will want to emulate you because of how dynamic you were. Welcome to the world of teaching, beginning teachers. Region 6 is happy to have you. And we continue to embrace you as we inspire your greatness and we nurture your greatness. Welcome, everyone, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Forbes Hall. And so on behalf of Region 7, I'm going to apologize for our regional director, Mr. Barrington Richardson, who is unable to be here. But teachers, we have gone right around the island. We have gone to Region 1. And in Region 1, we heard from our regional director. Yes, I want you to show some love in the chat for all our regional directors who have taken the time out to welcome you. It would be hard for me to choose a region to work in because they all make me want to just jump from one to the next because they are so willing to have you. And I hope by now, our beginning teachers, that you're excited, you're inspired, and you're just looking forward to going out and to add value to the system. And so I really want to, on behalf of the Jamaica Teaching Council and on behalf of all our teacher training institutions and our beginning teachers, say to you, and also the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, thank you regional directors for making our beginning teachers know how special they are to us. We do appreciate the time you've taken to be here. And so we would have gone to Region 1, and from Region 1, we would have heard from our regional director there. And so we want to thank Ms. Dasmond Kennedy. Then we go to Region 2 with Ms. Yashika Blackwood Grant. Then we went over to Region 3 where we heard from Ms. Carleen Segree. Then we went over to Region 4 from Dr. Michelle Pinnock. Region 5, Mr. Otis Brown. Region 6, Mrs. Sophia Forbes Hall. And Region 7, Mr. Barrington Richardson, who has sent his apology. So we really are grateful to have had, such a great team welcoming you. It feels like, in the Bible where it talks about a great cloud of witness, that's there cheering you on. That's how I hope you're feeling, beginning teachers. At this time, I'm going to be going over to Mrs. Buckner, who will be screen sharing as the little ones at Spalding Primary will now make you welcome. Right after which you'll be hearing from our CEO, Dr. Winsome Gordon, who will officially welcome you to the profession. So over to you, Mrs. Buckner, who is now screen sharing.
Welcome! With the light choose this a professional thing, cause not everybody willing to take on the teaching task without your beg, plead, and ask. We don't need to frighten you on the dust start, but teaching and a walk over. You have to love it with all of your heart. Yes, man, all of your heart. With the top, the bottom, and the two side part. Cause no time you go kiss your teeth and say, shrub, me can't bother with this part. But remember, don't work harder, just work smart. You better know about the courses and learn how to tie them in with the 5 Ds. So on the weekend, you can sit down and take in a little cool breeze. Join a professional organization. Yes! They will provide education to handle any given situation. It's a part of the transformation as we continue in the digital space as a nation. Finally, stay on the cutting edge and remain true to the educator's pledge. Because you open doors for our children to advance. And give every little Johnny a fighting chance. Together, you will build excellences as you learn new skills and use resources. Don't you ever be like some who just come and roll with the punches. So welcome, we really glad to choose this profession.
Thank you so very much. And so we give credit to Miss Marissa Daly Crawford from the Spalding Primary, who worked with these students to make you feel even more welcome. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for staying with us thus far. And we now hand over to our CEO, Dr. Winsome Gordon, who will be making the official welcome to you. And so Dr. Gordon, over to you.
Thank you very much. I think I've lost that status of giving official welcome, Madam Chair, Mrs. Wilmot, because this group of teachers, they have been welcomed by the minister, welcomed by the regional directors. Great. Honorable Minister of Education, I have to pause before I go on because teachers, I would like you to know who is the Honorable Minister of Education, Honorable Favour Williams. She has a commitment to teachers. And I listened to her this evening, and I hope you got the message. She's committed to the profession, and she is doing all that she can to ensure that we are world class. So rest assured, you're going to get all the support that she can humanly give to you. The Chief Education Officer, acting Deputy Chief Education Officer, Dr. Casson Troop, you heard her this evening, and the acting deputy, Ms. Janet Brim. I don't know if her camera is on, but she's the acting Deputy Chief Education Officer. All the regional directors, principals, other educators, college lecturers, beginning teachers. Good evening. It is so great to have you on the platform. You have chosen the best profession. You have chosen the world-class profession. Take my word for it. I've been in it for a long time. I don't want to give away my age, but I've been in it for a very long time. And like others, if I have to live my life again, I am going to be a teacher. And I consider the classroom teaching to be the best part of my life. Sometimes I say to Mrs. Wilmot, please just give me a little piece of teaching. I just need to teach. Once a teacher, always a teacher. You heard Minister Williams, she said, you're coming into an exciting times. And teachers, you are coming into exciting times. When the system is changing, when education technology has a different meaning. For me, education technology was learning how to use the overhead projector, learning how to thread the reel for a cinema, the screen to show children some images or to give a show or something. That was education technology. And of course, to make your charts and all of that. Education technology has excelled way beyond that. I know your classrooms can be so exciting because you can make your own video. You make your own videos. You can shift. In fact, if you have a lesson to teach and you are not too sure that you know how to teach that lesson well, you go online and find a teacher, and that teacher can teach your class. That it is amazing what the digital space has done for the teaching profession. And so the theme is apt: transforming education in the digital space. You have come into a profession and you are emerging from college with new ideas. You're emerging from college with new exposure that some of our teachers in classroom, they do not have. So you're a special group. And Mrs. Wilmot, we are going to get from this group master teachers within 5 years. Our Honorable Minister has insisted, she didn't ask if we can, she has insisted that we expand the master teacher program. And in real terms, I am going to ask Mrs. Wilmot's permission just to mention that you have heard about salaries, but in real terms, when you become a master teacher, that's when you really have a salary increase. Because any money you get, that is a general increase for teachers. Government only has one budget, so they just move the money from the left pocket to the right pocket, or from the right pocket to the left pocket. But when you become a master teacher, you move yourself in a different salary scale. In 5 years, you can get the salary of a vice principal of a school if you insist you work hard and become an outstanding teacher. Now, this is what I can tell you about the professions. Teachers start at a higher level than lawyers. I know that for a fact. Two of my children are lawyers, and I know where they started. Now, the difference in the professions, it's perception. A teacher, it graduates, and the teacher is looking to retire. A lawyer graduates, and the lawyer starts looking for specializations, area of specialization. A doctor graduates, and the doctor's looking towards areas of specialization. What is he going to do? What will she do? The teacher now is in a space where the specializations, the opportunities are all there now. So now when you graduate as a teacher, you set your sights. In 5 years, I'm going to be a master teacher. In 6 years, I might become a lecturer in a college. By the time teachers are licensed, you can hang up your shingles. That is a big move. Hang up your shingles, specialist teacher in special education, and you have your special classes at certain times. Online opportunities are out there now, teachers, for us to be entrepreneurs. We have never been entrepreneurs. We have always said, oh, we get a salary, and this is teaching profession is a profession where you just go and get a salary. No more, that's over. You have to build your profession. You have to build your expertise, your experience in education, and you'd be amazed at the opportunities that are out there for teachers. So really, I would like to become young again, but I haven't figured it out, because I'd like to be in your shoes so that I benefit from all the developments in the digital space and the opportunities for the teaching profession. So teachers, I am looking forward to getting your portfolios as master teachers. And Mrs. Wilmot, I am going to bet you my bottom dollar that these teachers on the platform are going to be among the first batch of master teachers from the cohort 2022. And I'm sure the teachers agree with me. So teachers, take the opportunity. JTC is there to support you all the way. And you can see that the regional directors are going to support you wherever you find yourself in a region. And remember, the mentorship program that you will enter in the first year of teaching, you might not get a full-time job for 1 year, but we recognize the months that you get. We add up the months, the quarters that you get, and wherever you are, ensure that you have a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, contact us. So we ensure that their mentorship program is continued. And at the end of the school year, or maybe within a term of the next school year, you'd have finished your mentorship period. So don't worry about it. Some of you will get full-time jobs. And I heard somebody saying to you, Mrs. Wilmot saying to you, you have to sell yourself. And you have to sell yourself well, because boards are looking for the best teachers they can find. So when you go armed with your portfolio and you show what you can do, which is what business people do, you show what they're capable of, what you can do, then you know that you're assuring yourself a job because you have branded yourself. And batch 22, I would encourage you to brand the batch so they know that this is the batch that made the transition and that help us to transition fully, effectively in the digital space. So I'm happy to receive you in the council. The council will support you. We offer professional development all year round at different times and in different areas. And so take the opportunity, because in becoming a master teacher, you're going to need to invest time in yourself. You're going to need to stay abreast of your profession. You have to stay abreast of developments in your fields, especially those teachers who are in fields where information is just changing. So remember this, the Jamaica Teaching Council is waiting to welcome you all as master teachers. And the Jamaica Teaching Council is going to support you to become master teachers. So then, this noble profession is the best profession, and everybody has said that to you. And remember always, spend your money carefully. I'm sure Mrs. Wilmot must have done some financial management, Mrs. Wilmot, in the induction program. You manage your money. And if you manage your money well, it works. Teachers, we don't need 10 pairs of shoes. We only have 1 pair of feet. We don't need 10 pairs of shoes. You just need to have 3 pairs of good shoes or 4 pairs of good shoes. Maybe when you become my age, the old shoes would have accumulated into 50 pairs. But as starting teachers, use your money wisely. You don't need to have a whole lot of clothes, and, focus on your development. Save your money, learn about the investments, the possibilities. You plan well, you can own your own living space within 5-6 years of the profession. You can, because you plan. And you know that the JTA, for example, if you're a member of the JTA, they have a possibility for loans. There are banks, your credit unions, how you invest your money. And I'm not telling you to do anything I have not done. I've been a teacher. I used to get $50 a month as a trained teacher. And I guarantee you that we saved from the $50 a month, and we were able to get loans, make strategic financial decisions, which is very important as a teacher. It's critical how you manage your money. So don't let the other professions frighten you and let them feel that they are getting some money that you're not getting. Because at bottom line, it is not true. What they do, you never hear a lawyer complaining about salaries. They have a prestige at the with which they carry themselves in their black suits and make you feel that, oh, we don't have any colors. Maybe with the profession should start looking at its own colors. So we wear our own suits as well and brand our profession. So we're going places. The profession is going places. And as I've said, the profession now has opportunities for entrepreneurship that it has never had before. It has opportunities for sharing, for networking, for in collaboration. If you know a good physics teacher, excellent physics teacher, you have a class to teach, you ask that physics teacher to teach your class online. So you have opportunities to be just great teachers and to be effective. As everyone has said to you, the teachers cradle the society. The teachers cradle the society. And the more women go out to work, the more teachers have the responsibility for the upbringing of the nation. The more we go out to work, and you see that in the COVID, the pandemic, that yes, teachers have the role of bringing up the profession in every sense of the word. Attitudes, values, the academic work, the vocational work, it's all our responsibility. And we can do it. We can make this Jamaica the Jamaica we want. And it's our responsibility to do it. To be the role model. And teachers, I appeal to you. At any point, you say to yourself, I cannot be a role model for this nation. Come to the Jamaica Teaching Council and say, I would like to leave the profession completely. And we will understand, because you cannot be a teacher and you're not a role model. That's not possible. So I'm happy to receive you as part of the council because you're now, as soon as you graduate from college, you're automatically a part of the council and a part of the Jamaica Teaching Council family. We'll be happy to have you. We look forward to having you. And as I've said, and I'm going to say it again, we look forward to our master teachers. Mrs. Wilmot, please send the group the link. I'm sure they have it already. To become master.
I will be posting the criteria in their classroom.
Thank you. Thank you very much, teachers. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. And by now, I think everybody feels very, very, very welcome. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, at this time, invite to do the vote of thanks on behalf of our beginning teachers. I want to invite one of your colleagues from the University of the West Indies, Miss Celeste Cumry. Over to you, Miss Cumry. My apologies, I just realized you were not made co-host. Are you now able to open your mic?
Right, thank you so much, Mrs. Wilmot. I wasn't allowed to unmute, but thank you. All right, so good evening, everyone. The Honorable Favor Williams, MP, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Board of Directors, Jamaica Teaching Council, who stood behind this initiative from start to finish in the personage of Dr. Winsome Gordon, the Chief Executive Officer, Mrs. Ingrid Peart Wilmot, Chief Mentorship Training Officer, JTC, Mrs. Alison Solomon, Senior Director, Teacher Development Services, JTC, Mr. Darian Henry, Chairman, Mentors Association of Jamaica, representatives from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Regional Directors, Dr. Janet Singh, Acting Practicum Coordinator, Church Teachers College, Community Relations Officers, Jamaica's Teachers Association, represented by Mr. Winston Smith, who is the president, Master of Ceremony, Mrs. Ingrid Peart Wilmot. Thank you for so ably taking us through this most inspiring evening. Your level of enthusiasm is inspiringly contagious. You encapsulate the mantra, lift as you climb. Dr. Janet Singh, thank you for gracefully inviting the presence of God in our midst in these unprecedented times. We definitely need a sovereign guiding hand. Mrs. Solomon, you so eloquently made us feel welcomed and prepared us to enjoy the ceremony. To our passionate chairman of MAJ, Mr. Darian Henry, thank you for reminding us of the importance of environmental scanning. Social media has had a profound impact in our society. Therefore, it is not surprising that the cry to have the family regain its foundation as the leading moral guidance in our youth is being expressed. Thank you for the challenge you directed to us. Be a part of this war for our young people. This war is to secure the effectiveness of our future's workforce, ready to think critically and act with strong moral compass. Thank you for the reality check in this journey, that it is not an easy one. Soft skill and manners are still required. We appreciate you lending your voice to the need to compensate our teachers handsomely. We shall obey the warning, keep from problems. Thank you so much. And as I continue, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Jones, my colleagues, thank you for taking us through your journey as beginning teachers. You both gave us insight into what we have come to know as the order of things today, this balancing act. However, you made it as you recognize the importance of being trained into becoming a wholesome educator. From talk and talk to the e-portfolio, the profession has certainly came a long way. And yet we still have many miles to go. You both express most convincingly what you learned along the way. And to our keynote speaker, the Honorable Favour Williams, MP, Minister of Education, Youth and Information. Indeed, much has changed since the pandemic, but our teachers across the educational landscape responded with much agility. The 4 C's were at play: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. The specialist subject teaching will definitely help our students to fall in love more with what they are being taught, as the teacher is the first love with the subject matter. I am in agreement that our education system has matured since the pandemic, and it is responsive to the change in times. Thank you for reminding us that we can be proud to be teachers in Jamaica and that we are well equipped to make a positive change due to all the new skills we've learned. We will continue to learn from the Mentors Association of Jamaica. The 20 hours of training was just the tip of the iceberg. You also reminded us to be unwavering in our pursuit of excellence and to move towards the goal of Vision 2030. We shall be the place to do work, to do business, and to raise families. Dr. K. Thrope, Chief Educational Officer in Acting, thank you for the reassurance that the lesson plan bank is being expanded and it will be available on a wider scale in the near future. The session was interactive and provided great opportunity for our teachers to get their questions and concerns answered. To the Spalding Primary School, oh, wow, what a vibrant set of children. Don't you all agree? Thank you for the resounding welcome. You reminded us that the 4 C's and the 5 E's must be in our plans. And you also reminded us to build excellency as we build new skills and learn new things, and overall to ensure that we have a love for this profession. And to our regional directors in Region 1, we had Miss Jasmine Kennedy. Thank you for reminding us to begin with the end in mind and for the warm welcome to the profession at a time like this. In Region 2, we had Mrs. Blackwood Grant, and she represented the pride of the East. She reminded us that true education is about creating thinkers. Thank you for the congratulations and the enthusiastic welcome. Region 4, we had Miss Carlene Segri, and this was the region of trailblazers. Thank you for extending your support and for the welcome to the profession. You reminded us that the function of leadership is not to produce more followers, but to produce leaders. Region 4, Dr. Pinnock, and this is my region, big up my region, the region of innovation and collaboration. This region emphasizes the support of all and uplifting all. Thank you for reminding us that we should use the 5 E's and 4 C's in the teaching learning process and the importance of parental environment, especially in times like these. And you reminded us that every expert was once a beginner. Thank you for the warm welcome. Region 5, Mr. Otis Brown, and this was the region of champions. Thank you for the encouragement. You reminded us to be strong, keep our faith, practice awareness, be aware of the company we keep in our profession, surround ourselves with teachers that uplift and motivate. You reminded us to read more, be creative, and you left us with the thought, ensure that you reach them to teach them. Thank you so much for that. So profound. Region 6, Mrs. Forbes Hall. This region reminded us that we should inspire and nurture greatness. So you reminded us that teaching is not without its challenges, but you re-emphasize the point that we will be nurtured and celebrated. Thank you so much for that and for the warm welcome. And for the new teachers who did not know that there are 7 regions in the island, We will hear from Region 7, Barrington Richardson at another time. Dr. Winsome Gordon, this evening's induction ceremony could not have been complete without being welcomed to this noble profession. Your personal experiences will always show us that it is possible. To the principals, teachers, parents, and private sector's representatives, Board of Directors, Mentors Association of Jamaica Limited, Executive Committee and subcommittees of the MAJ, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You did an excellent job. And so, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I am going to be closing out. I want to thank all of you for being here. It has certainly been a wonderful time with you. And I see someone in the chat, typical teachers past 7 o'clock. It's almost like the children, when they say teacher is go home time now. So we understand that, but we want to thank you for spending the time with us. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. And so we're now going to close out with our national pledge. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now have the national pledge as we bring this evening's ceremony to a close.
I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the wisdom and courage of my mind, the strength and vigor of my body, and the service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. Work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly. Jamaica may underdog, increasing beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. Of the whole human race. Of the whole human race.
Thank you so much, everyone. Walk good. It was good being here with you. Have a great rest of the evening, and we look forward to working with you. God bless you all.